NN12, The Help 2011. Hi there, and thanks for joining me. Today, we'll be diving into The Help, a 2011 period drama that gently nudges us to reflect on the power of voices raised against systemic injustice, a story that encourages deeper thought and quiet discovery. I'm glad you're here, ready to explore the layers beneath the surface, where meaning and detail quietly reside. If you appreciate thoughtful exploration, please consider subscribing so we can keep uncovering these stories together. You can watch The Help officially on Disney+. Let's begin this journey with curiosity and care. The film opens with the slow, humid breath of Mississippi in the early 1960s, a place where magnolia trees bloom bright against a backdrop of simmering tension and quiet segregation. The streets look calm, almost picturesque, but beneath that veneer lies a fragile social order held together by unspoken rules and restrained resentments. This world feels familiar yet uneasy, like a house whose walls echo secrets even after the occupants have gone silent. Into this charged atmosphere steps a young woman fresh from college, armed with idealism and a notebook full of questions, eager to unearth truths that others prefer to bury. Her ambition sets the wheels in motion, stirring a reluctant alliance between herself and the women who have quietly shaped generations in the kitchens and backyards of wealthy white households. These women, with their gentle strength and sharp tongues, have carried the burdens of care and courage, their stories left unwritten and unheard. But when the young woman offers to give them a voice, anonymously, yet powerfully, they begin to unravel a tapestry of pain, resilience, and unexpected solidarity. As the narrative unfolds, everyday moments gain weight. A child soothed with gentle words, a simmering pot on a stove, a shared glance across a crowded room. These details build a world where loyalty and betrayal intertwine, where the simple act of telling the truth becomes a radical declaration. The film invites us to lean in, to listen closely to conversations whispered behind closed doors and laughter that masks 1,000 unspoken grievances. Tension mounts as the stories collected start to challenge the polished facades of polite society. The comfort of denial begins to crack, exposing fractures in relationships and social structures alike. Friendships are tested, loyalties questioned, and courage summoned in moments both grand and intimate. Among these, a certain gesture, a pie crafted with sly intention, serves as a delicious yet defiant punctuation to simmering injustice, a reminder that rebellion can wear many disguises. The emotional stakes rise as the manuscript takes shape, and its existence threatens to upend long-held balances. Fear and hope collide in whispered phone calls and furtive meetings, as those who dare to speak out grapple with the cost of their truth. The film's quiet power lies in these intimate confrontations, moments of vulnerability and fierce determination that reveal the true cost of change. Beyond the surface drama, the story explores how power operates in the mundane, who gets served first, who is allowed inside, who is silenced. It portrays how injustice seeps into the very walls of homes, hidden in everyday routines and rituals. Through warm, nostalgic cinematography and deeply felt performances, the film invites us into this delicate dance of courage and conformity, showing that even small acts of defiance can ripple outward, unsettling the foundations of inequality. The performances breathe life into these intertwined stories with profound humanity. The women who have lived these experiences bring grace and gravity to their roles, embodying the resilience of those who have been both invisible and indispensable. The young woman's journey from naivete to awakening mirrors the audience's own growing awareness, grounding the narrative in personal transformation as much as social reckoning. As the story moves toward its climax, the tension shifts from hidden whispers to public reckoning. The manuscript's release ignites conversations and confrontations, forcing characters to face truths they have long avoided. The film refuses easy resolutions, instead offering a nuanced portrait of courage marked by both triumph and loss, a reminder that progress is often messy, incomplete and deeply personal. Yet amid the weight of history and hardship, moments of humor and warmth shine through like rays of sunlight breaking a cloudy sky. These bursts of joy and laughter remind us that resistance is not only born from pain, but also from hope and the unyielding human spirit. Tender scenes of friendship, nurturing, and quiet solidarity punctuate the narrative, deepening its emotional resonance and reminding us why these stories matter. Visually, the film wraps its story in a glow of nostalgia, the light filtering through lace curtains and casting soft shadows on worn wooden floors. It captures both the beauty and the burden of a place caught between past and change, where every gesture and glance holds meaning. The camera lingers on details, the shimmer of a silver tray, the crisp folds of a uniform, the curve of a child's smile, inviting us to see what often goes unnoticed. The ending lingers in the heart, a mix of hope and unresolved tension, suggesting that while some battles are won, the war for dignity and equality continues. The final moments feel like a quiet call to action, an invitation to carry these stories beyond the screen and into our own conversations and communities. It's a reminder that change begins when voices, once silenced, rise and refuse to be ignored. This film is not just a period piece, but a mirror reflecting ongoing struggles, a testament to the courage it takes to confront uncomfortable truths. Its story, rich with layered characters and vivid moments, stays with you long after the credits roll, urging reflection and empathy. It's an invitation to see beyond surface appearances and engage with the complexity of history and humanity. Through laughter and tears, rebellion and tenderness, the film crafts a world both specific and universal, drawing us into a story about the power of stories themselves. It challenges us to recognize the everyday acts of bravery that shape history, often unnoticed but no less vital. And it reminds us that when we listen closely, we hear not just the echoes of the past, but the pulse of a future still being written. As we close this chapter, the image of sunlit porches and shadowed kitchens lingers, a world where courage takes many forms, from whispered confessions to bold declarations. The narrative invites us to witness, to learn, and perhaps most importantly, to carry these stories forward in our own lives, wherever we may be. If this journey stirred something within you, if the echoes of these voices call you to deeper reflection, I hope you'll stay with me as we continue to explore films that challenge, inspire, and illuminate the human experience. Together, we'll keep unraveling stories that matter, one quiet revelation at a time. The story unfolds in the simmering heat of Jackson, Mississippi, in the early 1960s, a time when the air is thick not only with humidity, but with the weight of unspoken rules and deep-rooted division. It begins quietly, with the rhythm of small-town life beating steadily beneath the surface. White picket fences line the streets, magnolia trees stretch their limbs skyward, and the hum of cicadas blends with the distant sound of church choirs and children's laughter. Yet beneath this seemingly serene landscape, tension coils tightly, like the slow tightening of a noose. In this world, we meet a young woman freshly returned from college, her hair still kissed by the winds of new ideas, her eyes wide with the hunger to find meaning in the ordinary. She is eager to carve out her place, armed with notebooks and a restless spirit, determined to write stories that matter. Her friends expect her to settle into the gentle rhythm of debutante teas and bridge games, but her curiosity pulls her toward the edges of town, toward truths that are whispered behind closed doors and swept under carpets. Her first stirrings of rebellion take shape in the form of a column in the local paper, a modest attempt to uncover the unnoticed lives that sustain the town. Yet even this small act sets off ripples. The world she inhabits is one where appearances must be flawless, where social order is maintained with an almost religious devotion. To question is to disrupt, and disruption is a risk few are willing to take. As she begins to probe deeper, her gaze turns toward the women who have raised her and countless others, the African-American maids who cook, clean, and nurture with tireless devotion. These women move through the grand houses with practiced grace, invisible to most but indispensable. They speak in softened tones, their stories buried beneath layers of resilience and sacrifice. To them, the young woman extends a tentative hand, offering to share their experiences not as gossip or scandal, but as testimony, a chance to give voice to the silenced. Among these women, one stands out with a quiet dignity that commands attention. She carries the ache of loss with every careful step, her hands both gentle and strong. She tends to a white child with unwavering love, planting seeds of kindness and self-worth where society often seeks to sow doubt. Through her, we glimpse the profound complexity of motherhood stretched across racial lines, the tenderness, the frustration, the hope, and the heartbreak. Another woman bursts into the narrative with bold humor and fiery spirit. Her sharp tongue is a shield against years of injustice, and her laughter rings like a bell of defiance. Beneath her bravado lies a deep well of pain and yearning, especially as she navigates the treacherous waters of a cruel employer's household, where dignity is tested daily. Her story is one of survival, of reclaiming power in unexpected ways. The young woman's project becomes a clandestine endeavor, a tapestry woven from whispered interviews and secret meetings held in dimly lit kitchens and shadowed porches. Each chapter she gathers is a delicate act of rebellion, a risk fraught with potential consequences. The women share their stories carefully, knowing that exposure could mean losing not just jobs but the fragile safety nets that hold their families together. As these narratives begin to coalesce, the film draws us into the tension simmering beneath surface politeness. Small acts of cruelty and kindness gain new meaning. Who is allowed to drink from which water fountain? Who must use the back door? Who is addressed with formal titles versus cold silence? Each detail becomes a brick in the invisible walls dividing the community. The camera lingers on these moments with tender cruelty, inviting us to witness what many would prefer to forget. Within this charged atmosphere, the young woman finds herself caught between worlds. Her friends and family expect her to conform, to keep her questions polite and her ambitions modest. But the stories she gathers tug at her conscience, compelling her to push harder, to listen more closely, and to imagine a different future. Her own awakening mirrors the slow shift of a town grappling with its contradictions, where kindness and prejudice exist side by side. One evening, an encounter with a prominent society matron sharpens the stakes. The woman's polite smile masks a steely resolve to maintain the status quo, a reminder that the forces arrayed against change are powerful and deeply entrenched. This moment crystallizes the risks the young woman faces, not only personal alienation, but the potential to ignite a firestorm that could engulf everyone involved. The tension finds release in a moment of unexpected humor and daring, a homemade chocolate pie crafted with an ingredient as bold as the spirit behind it. The act is both delicious and subversive, a slice of rebellion served with a side of justice. It becomes a turning point, breaking through the veneer of civility and signaling that the quiet resistance taking root is anything but harmless. As the stories accumulate, the women who have lent their voices begin to draw strength from each other. Shared experiences forge bonds that transcend fear, offering glimpses of solidarity amid isolation. In living rooms and kitchens, the film captures these intimate connections, where laughter and tears mingle and hope flickers like a candle in the dark. Parallel to this, the young woman's personal life shifts. Romantic interests, friendships, and family expectations collide with her growing commitment to the project. Each decision feels like a choice between comfort and conviction, safety and sacrifice. The film captures the nuance of these struggles with a gentle hand, revealing the messy intersections where private lives and public causes meet. Meanwhile, the community's undercurrents grow stronger. Whispers spread along sidewalks and through church pews, and the threat of exposure casts long shadows. The women's voices, once confined to hushed tones, begin to carry farther, challenging the assumptions of a society built on silence and submission. The film holds these moments with care, showing how courage often takes the form of quiet persistence rather than grand gestures. The young woman's writing evolves from tentative questions to a powerful narrative weaving together the disparate threads of pain, resilience, and hope. Her manuscript becomes a symbol of possibility, a challenge to the carefully maintained illusions that shield injustice. Yet the act of creation also brings fear, as she understands that once these stories are told, there is no turning back. Throughout these developments, the film draws attention to the small but significant ways in which power operates. Who is seen and who is ignored, who speaks and who listens, who is protected and who is vulnerable. Everyday rituals become battlegrounds, and the camera's gaze turns intimate, capturing the subtle negotiations that shape lives. The relationship between the young woman and the women who confide in her deepens into one of mutual respect and fragile trust. They share not only stories but fears and dreams, building a fragile alliance that defies societal expectations. Their interactions are layered with emotion, from moments of tenderness to sharp exchanges that reveal the complexity of their bonds. As the first part of the story draws to a close, tensions reach a boiling point. The young woman faces increasing pressure from all sides, friends urging caution, family demanding conformity, and a community on the brink of upheaval. The women who have spoken out grapple with the consequences of their bravery, balancing hope with the risk of reprisal. A sense of urgency permeates the air, mirrored in scenes where the quiet town's rhythms quicken. Phone calls are made in hushed tones, doors are closed with care, and glances dart with suspicion. The manuscript, once a private act of rebellion, now pulses with the weight of impending change. In these moments, the film's emotional core shines brightest. The characters' fears, hopes, and desires intertwine, revealing the personal costs of public resistance. The story invites us to witness these vulnerabilities, reminding us that the fight for justice is not only fought in courtrooms or protests, but in everyday decisions and relationships. This unfolding drama, rich with layered characters and charged atmospheres, sets the stage for the transformative events to come. It asks us to sit with discomfort, to recognize the quiet power of truth, and to honor the courage it takes to speak when silence feels safest. As the heat of Mississippi presses down, the story builds toward a reckoning that promises both pain and possibility, inviting us to watch as lives, and history itself, begin to shift beneath the weight of unspoken words finally set free. The story's rhythm shifts as the weight of secrets grows heavier, pressing down on every character like the thick Mississippi summer heat that refuses to relent. The quiet courage that bloomed in whispered conversations begins to pulse louder, reverberating through the lives of those who dared to speak, and those who are forced to reckon with what they've long denied. The manuscript, once a fragile collection of stories hidden in plain sight, now becomes a force that threatens to unravel the carefully constructed order, exposing fissures beneath the town's polished veneer. The young woman, whose hands have guided these voices onto paper, finds herself caught in a whirlwind she could neither fully anticipate nor control. Her life, once compartmentalized between social gatherings and family expectations, now spills over with new complexities. The confidence she has gained is tempered by the reality that her actions have consequences far beyond the safety of her own conscience. Invitations become scarce, whispers follow her footsteps, and the walls of acceptance close tighter. Yet despite the growing isolation, her resolve only hardens, fueled by the understanding that some truths must be told, no matter the cost. For the women whose stories fill the pages, the stakes escalate with every passing day. They have stepped into the light from behind kitchen doors and back porches, and with that exposure comes both liberation and peril. Their relationships with the families they serve become fraught with tension, suspicion, and sometimes outright hostility. A woman once welcomed with warmth now finds herself the target of cold stares and pointed remarks. The familiar rhythms of daily life are fractured, and the lines between ally and adversary blur unpredictably. One of the most poignant transformations occurs in the dynamic between the two women whose voices have guided much of the narrative's emotional heart: the tender-hearted caretaker and the fiery, quick-witted defender. Their bond, forged through shared pain and courage, is tested as their worlds collide with the repercussions of their truths unveiled. Each must navigate a path between protecting themselves and standing firm in solidarity, a dance fraught with the fear of losing everything they hold dear. The community, once a backdrop of genteel facades and whispered prejudice, now becomes a stage for confrontation and reckoning. Conversations that once took place behind closed doors spill into public spaces, with neighbors forced to confront the discomfort of change. Some cling desperately to the past, brandishing traditions like shields. Others glimpse the promise of something different, though the path forward remains uncertain and fraught. In the midst of this turmoil, the young woman finds an unexpected ally, a kindred spirit whose own struggles mirror the complexity of awakening to systemic injustice. Their friendship provides a beacon of hope and a reminder that change is often born not from solitary acts but from collective courage. Together, they push forward, their voices rising in harmony against the chorus of denial and fear. As the manuscript's publication draws near, tension tightens like a drawn bowstring. The community braces itself for the inevitable release of truths long kept in shadow. Scenes crackle with anticipation, quiet phone calls exchanged in urgency, hurried meetings behind drawn curtains, and moments of silence heavy with unspoken dread. The narrative lingers on these small but charged moments, reminding us that revolutions are often ignited in the hush between words. When the book finally reaches the hands of readers, the impact is immediate and profound. The stories, once muffled and hidden, become a mirror held up to society's contradictions and cruelties. For some, it is a painful reckoning, a forced confrontation with uncomfortable realities. For others, a spark of recognition and resolve. The film does not shy away from portraying the varied responses: anger, denial, shame, but also empathy and a tentative hope. The repercussions ripple outward, fracturing old alliances and forging new ones. The women who shared their truths face backlash, job losses, estrangement, and the harsh sting of betrayal. Yet amid this, moments of solidarity emerge as well, where unlikely friendships bloom in the crucible of shared struggle. These relationships carry a fragile promise of healing and progress, even as the path ahead remains steep and uncertain. One of the most compelling arcs unfolds with a character once defined by privilege and complacency. As the stories from the manuscript reach her, she grapples with the realization that her life has been built on a foundation of silence and complicity. Her journey toward awareness and atonement unfolds with painful honesty, exposing the limits of social grace and the power of personal transformation. This character's awakening becomes a poignant counterpoint to the resilience of those who bore the brunt of injustice. The film's emotional climax is neither loud nor grandiose, but deeply intimate and raw. In a scene heavy with unspoken emotion, the young woman confronts the consequences of her actions, not only the fractures she has caused, but also the bridges she has begun to build. The women who lent their voices stand beside her, their solidarity unshaken even as the cost of truth-telling weighs heavily. The moment feels like a reckoning, both personal and societal, where courage is measured not by accolades but by the willingness to face loss and continue forward. Amid these heavy revelations, the story never loses sight of humanity's capacity for tenderness and joy. Moments of laughter, shared meals, and quiet understanding offer respite from the storm, underscoring the resilience that sustains the characters. These instances remind us that even in the darkest times, connection and compassion persist, lighting the way toward change. Visually, the film shifts subtly, mirroring the narrative's evolution. The warm, nostalgic hues give way to cooler, more restrained tones, reflecting the sobering reality of upheaval. Yet within this palette, flashes of vibrant color, bright dresses, blooming flowers, the gleam of a hopeful smile, signal that life and hope endure amid turmoil. The camera lingers on these details, inviting us to find meaning in the textures of daily life, where change is often slow but relentless. The resolution does not offer neat closure. Rather, it embraces complexity and ambiguity. Some characters find new paths forward, others retreat into silence or separation, and many remain suspended between worlds. The manuscript's impact lingers beyond the final frame, a reminder that stories have power not only to reveal, but to transform. The film closes on a note of cautious optimism, acknowledging that progress is a journey marked by setbacks as well as breakthroughs. This ending invites reflection, not only on the characters' journeys, but on our own place within ongoing struggles for justice and understanding. It challenges us to listen more deeply, to recognize the courage in everyday acts of resistance, and to consider how silence and complicity shape the world we live in. The narrative becomes a call to empathy and action, urging us to carry these stories beyond the screen and into the fabric of our own lives. Throughout this part of the story, the emotional landscape is rich and textured, shaped by the interplay of fear, hope, love, and defiance. The characters' internal conflicts are portrayed with nuance and grace, revealing the messy, human side of social change. Their struggles feel immediate and real, a testament to the film's commitment to honoring the complexity of its subjects. In the final scenes, the young woman stands at a crossroads, her future uncertain, her past irrevocably changed. The women who stood beside her embody the strength born from shared hardship and the power of stories told and heard. Together, they represent a fragile but enduring promise that even in the face of entrenched injustice, voices raised in truth can begin to shift the tides of history. The film leaves us with an image both simple and profound, a porch bathed in fading sunlight, where silence and possibility mingle. It is a space waiting to be filled with new stories, new conversations, and new acts of courage. The journey may be far from over, but the spark has been lit, and with it comes the hope that change, however slow, is possible. As the credits roll, a sense of quiet reverence settles. We are reminded that the fight for dignity and equality is ongoing, carried forward by those willing to speak, listen, and act. The film's lingering power lies in its invitation to join in this conversation, to witness these stories, and to carry their echoes into our own lives, shaping the world one voice at a time. In the quiet, sun-drenched world of this story, characters emerge not as mere archetypes but as deeply textured human beings, each carrying the weight of history, hope, and heartbreak in their own unique way. They live in a time and place where every gesture, every glance, holds significance, where identity is forged at the crossroads of personal dreams and societal chains. To meet these characters is to step into a world where courage often wears the guise of everyday resilience, and where silence can be both sanctuary and prison. At the heart of this narrative stands a young woman whose restless spirit and burgeoning conscience guide much of the story's momentum. She arrives from the outside world with a notebook full of questions and a determination that sets her apart from the comfortable complacency surrounding her. There's an innocence to her at first, a lightness that comes from being sheltered by privilege and naivety. But beneath that surface, an unspoken urgency pulses, a need to understand, to reveal, to disrupt. Her journey is one of awakening, a gradual shedding of certainty and the painful embrace of uncomfortable truths. What makes her compelling is not only her curiosity but her vulnerability. She is caught between worlds, tethered to the expectations of her family and social circle, yet drawn irresistibly toward the voices she feels compelled to amplify. The tension within her plays out in subtle ways, hesitations, furtive glances, moments of self-doubt that crack the polished facade. As she gathers stories and forges unlikely friendships, Her growth feels authentic, marked by setbacks and small victories alike. Her transformation is not a heroic leap, but a careful, sometimes faltering step toward empathy and courage. Her presence challenges the town's rigid social order, yet she remains grounded in her own contradictions. She is neither saint nor savior, but a young woman learning to navigate the complicated terrain of privilege and responsibility. This complexity makes her relatable, a mirror for anyone who has grappled with the gap between ideals and reality. Her pen becomes a tool not only for storytelling but for self-discovery, and her courage, though imperfect, lights a path forward. In contrast, the women whose stories she seeks to tell offer a profound counterpoint, figures shaped by endurance, love, and quiet rebellion. One of these women is the embodiment of maternal grace and steadfast strength. Her care for a child not her own transcends societal barriers, creating a tender space where affirmations of worth and kindness bloom in defiance of the harshness outside. Her patience is a quiet force, her resilience a foundation upon which others lean. Yet beneath her composed exterior lies a well of sorrow and suppressed dreams, a reminder that strength often demands sacrifice. This character's journey is layered with nuance. She is both nurturer and survivor, her identity intertwined with the lives she sustains and the world that marginalizes her. Her moments of tenderness offer glimpses of hope, while her silences speak volumes about the constraints imposed by a segregated society. Through her, the narrative reveals the intimate costs of systemic injustice, showing how love and oppression can coexist in the same breath. Then there is another woman whose fiery spirit and sharp wit blaze through the story like a sudden storm. She wields humor as both shield and sword, cutting through pretense and injustice with unapologetic candor. Her laughter masks scars inflicted by cruelty and exclusion, and her boldness unsettles the comfortable order. She refuses to be invisible, asserting her presence even when it comes at great personal risk. Her journey is one of reclamation, a fierce assertion of dignity in a world determined to deny it. What makes her unforgettable is the blend of vulnerability and defiance that colors every interaction. She carries the weight of past betrayals and present dangers with a kind of fierce joy, challenging assumptions and expectations. Her relationships are complex, marked by moments of tenderness and conflict, revealing the layers beneath her tough exterior. Her humor becomes a lifeline, a way to assert control in a world that often seeks to strip it away. The interplay between these two women offers a rich exploration of resilience in different forms. One nurtures with quiet strength, the other fights with fire and laughter. Together, they create a powerful portrait of solidarity forged in shared struggle, each reflecting facets of a collective experience shaped by history and hope. Their friendship is a testament to the ways human connection can transcend fear and division, even in the most challenging circumstances. Supporting these central figures are a cast of characters who embody the various facets of the society they inhabit. Among them, a prominent social matron stands out as both antagonist and symbol of entrenched power. She moves through the world with practiced grace and sharp calculation, her smile a mask for the steely resolve beneath. Her devotion to maintaining social order is fierce, driven by a worldview shaped by fear and privilege. Yet the film also peels back layers to reveal her own vulnerabilities. A woman shaped by expectations and insecurities, trapped within the gilded cage of her status. This character's interactions with the protagonists are charged with tension, a dance of polite hostility and underlying menace. She represents the barriers to change, the weight of tradition wielded as weapon. Yet her moments of doubt and fragility add depth, reminding us that complicity often springs from fear as much as malice. Her story is a reminder that those who uphold systems of oppression are themselves caught in webs of expectation and survival. In the background, the young woman's family provides another layer of complexity. Her mother, embodying the gentility and strictures of their social class, oscillates between pride in her daughter's achievements and anxiety over the disruption her ambitions may cause. Their relationship is fraught with unspoken tensions, a reflection of generational divides and the pressures to conform. The mother's character captures the contradictions of a woman both constrained and empowered by her role, navigating the delicate balance of protection and control. Friendships within the young woman's social circle further illuminate the pressures of conformity. These relationships are tinged with casual cruelty and subtle exclusion, exposing the ways peer loyalty can enforce silence and discourage dissent. Yet cracks appear even here, moments of discomfort and doubt that hint at the possibility of awakening. These dynamics underscore the pervasive nature of societal expectations and the courage required to break free. Romantic interests in the story are portrayed with sensitivity, revealing the personal entanglements that complicate the protagonist's journeys. One suitor offers comfort and familiarity, but also embodies the limitations of a society unwilling to change, his affections tinged with possessiveness and tradition. Another relationship introduces the possibility of connection beyond convention, though it too is fraught with the realities of the time. These romantic threads enrich the narrative, illustrating how love and desire intersect with power and identity. Throughout the film, the maid's children also make brief but poignant appearances, highlighting the intergenerational impact of the social order. A young girl, beloved and nurtured by her caretaker, becomes a symbol of hope and the possibility of change. Her innocence and the affirmations she receives carry weight, suggesting that transformation begins with the youngest among us. These moments are tender reminders that personal relationships can both challenge and perpetuate systemic inequalities. The characters' journeys are intertwined not only by circumstance, but by shared acts of bravery and vulnerability. Their voices weave together a chorus that challenges the silence imposed by fear and tradition. The film's success lies in its refusal to flatten these individuals into simple categories. Instead, it embraces their contradictions and complexities, painting a portrait of humanity in all its flawed beauty. Visual storytelling deepens our understanding of these characters. Costumes become extensions of identity, pastel dresses and pearls marking privilege and restraint, work uniforms signaling endurance and invisibility. The careful attention to detail in body language and facial expression reveals what words cannot: unspoken longing, restrained anger, flickers of hope. Scenes linger on small gestures, a tightening grip on a teacup, a fleeting glance toward an open window, inviting us to inhabit the characters' inner worlds. The young woman's evolving posture, from tentative and uncertain to poised and resolute, mirrors her internal transformation. Her eyes, once wide with naive curiosity, come to hold a quiet fire. The two women who stand beside her embody resilience in its many forms, one serene and steadfast, the other fiery and irrepressible. Their expressions carry the weight of histories lived and futures imagined, inviting empathy and respect. Even secondary characters leave indelible marks. The community's clergy, neighbors, and employers each reflect facets of the social fabric, their actions and reactions shaping the narrative's emotional terrain. Some embody compassion and progress, others resistance and denial. These interactions create a living mosaic of a society grappling with itself, where every choice reverberates through lives intertwined. One of the film's most striking achievements is its portrayal of how identity and power intersect within domestic spaces. The kitchens, bathrooms, and front porches, where much of the story unfolds, become stages on which these characters enact their struggles and resistances. The women's uniforms are both armor and shroud, signaling their roles while concealing their individuality. Their smiles, laughter, and tears reveal depths beneath imposed roles, asserting presence and humanity. The characters' emotional journeys are further enriched by the film's soundscape. The soft hum of cicadas, the clink of dishes, the rustle of skirts creating an immersive atmosphere that grounds their experiences in place and time. These sensory details amplify the emotional resonance of their stories, making their joys and sorrows palpable. Throughout the narrative, themes of friendship, motherhood, and courage intertwine in the characters' arcs. The bonds forged in shared adversity offer sanctuary and strength, even as external forces threaten to pull them apart. Moments of tenderness, an embrace, a whispered reassurance, illuminate the resilience born from connection. The film honors these relationships as lifelines amid upheaval. In their imperfections and contradictions, these characters invite us to reflect on the complexities of human nature and social change. They remind us that progress is neither linear nor easy, but forged in moments of doubt, defiance, and deep humanity. Their stories linger, urging us to listen closely to voices too often unheard, and to recognize the quiet power of ordinary courage. By the film's close, each character stands transformed, not through miraculous redemption, but through the slow, often painful work of confronting truth and choosing integrity. Their legacies intertwine, a testament to the enduring impact of stories told and the possibilities born from bearing witness. In their journeys, we find reflections of ourselves, challenged to consider how we might speak, listen, and act in the face of injustice. This richly woven tapestry of character portraits leaves us with a profound sense of empathy and a call to recognize the humanity in every person's story. It is a celebration of resilience, a meditation on courage, and an invitation to hold space for voices that shape our collective history. Through these lives, the film whispers a timeless truth, that change begins with listening, and that every story told is a step toward freedom. There's a curious magic that weaves itself through the making of a film like this, one that feels almost like a secret whispered between takes, a hidden thread that stitches the visible story to the unseen world behind the camera. Beneath the polished surface of the final cut lies a rich tapestry of moments both strange and serendipitous, small miracles and unexpected challenges that shape the film's heartbeat. Exploring these lesser-known facets feels like stepping behind a velvet curtain, revealing a space where creativity, history, and human quirks intertwine. To begin, it's impossible to overlook the unique bond that linked the film's director to its source material, a connection that lent the production an intimate, almost familial atmosphere. The director grew up in the very town where the story unfolds, childhood memories of sprawling southern homes and slow afternoons, steeped in magnolia-scented air, threading through his vision. This closeness to place gave him not only a deep understanding of the cultural rhythms, but a personal stake in portraying the characters, complexities with tenderness and truth. His friendship with the novel's author was no mere coincidence, but a thread that wove itself into the fabric of the film's creation, infusing every frame with the lived experience of shared history. But the echoes of authenticity went beyond personal connections, manifesting in the painstaking attention to detail that colored every scene. The production team set out to capture the essence of 1960s Mississippi with such care that even the smallest props were sourced or recreated to perfection. The antique teacups, the lace curtains filtering the sunlight, the crisp uniforms worn by the maids, all were chosen to evoke a time and place with vivid accuracy. One unusual fact that delights fans is that many of the household items used on set were real artifacts from the era, borrowed from local residents or carefully restored by artisans. This lending of history to the film's physical world created an immersive atmosphere that actors and crew alike felt deeply. Speaking of the actors, the casting process itself carried an air of serendipity that almost feels scripted. The director, knowing the importance of grounding the story in genuine experience, sought performers who could bring layers of depth to their roles. It was no small feat to find actresses who could embody both the strength and vulnerability required, but when the lead roles were cast, the chemistry was immediate and electric. The actresses playing the women who serve as the narrative's emotional core quickly bonded, their off-screen friendship echoing the solidarity their characters build. This real-life camaraderie enriched their performances, lending an authenticity that resonates powerfully on screen. During filming, the location itself became almost a character, a living, breathing presence that infused scenes with an unspoken weight. Many of the interiors were shot in homes that had stood witness to decades of history, their walls steeped in stories that mirrored those being told. Crew members often remarked on the eerie feeling of walking through rooms where past lives had unfolded, sensing the echoes of long-forgotten conversations and struggles. One particularly strange occurrence involved a scene filmed in a historic house where lights flickered inexplicably, and crew members reported cold drafts despite the summer heat outside. Whether coincidence or something more mysterious, these moments added a layer of atmosphere to the shoot that felt fittingly uncanny. The production also faced unexpected challenges that tested the team's resilience. Filming in the Deep South during summer meant contending with relentless heat, swarms of mosquitoes, and sudden thunderstorms that could halt shooting in an instant. The cast and crew adapted with good humor and grit, finding camaraderie in shared discomfort. One actress later recalled how makeup artists had to reapply sweat and tear effects multiple times to maintain continuity under the oppressive sun. The heat became a silent actor in its own right, shaping performances and creating an immersive sensory experience that seeped into the final film. Another curious fact lies in the creation of one of the story's most iconic moments, the infamous chocolate pie. What began as a small prop choice became a scene that would spark laughter and lasting cultural resonance. The pie was carefully crafted not just to look appetizing, but to embody the spirit of rebellion simmering beneath polite surfaces. The director insisted on using a real pie during filming to capture authentic reactions, and the actress's delivery was so perfectly timed that the moment took on a life of its own. Behind the scenes, the pie became a running joke among the cast, who affectionately dubbed it the weapon, marveling at how a simple dessert could carry such narrative power. But the making of that scene also involved an unexpected challenge. The original pie was prepared with real ingredients, but during one take, it slipped from the actress's hands, splattering onto the floor in a spectacular mess. Laughter erupted on set, and the moment was quickly reset. But that mishap only added to the scene's authenticity, reminding everyone that sometimes accidents fuel the magic. This small story captures the blend of careful planning and spontaneous energy that defined much of the production. Costume design also holds its own trove of fascinating details. The wardrobes were more than mere period pieces. They were carefully constructed narratives of social standing and personal identity. The pastel hues and delicate fabrics worn by the town's socialites contrasted sharply with the sturdy, utilitarian uniforms of the maids, visually underscoring the divides at the story's heart. One little-known fact is that the costumes worn by the actresses playing the maids were intentionally made to be slightly stiff and restrictive, echoing the constraints their characters faced. The actresses had to learn to move naturally within these garments, a challenge that deepened their immersion into their roles. The filmmakers also took great care with language, dialect, and speech patterns. Local dialect coaches worked closely with the actors to capture the rhythms and inflections unique to Jackson, Mississippi, in that era. This attention extended beyond dialogue to include the way characters laughed, sighed, and paused, every sound crafted to create an authentic sonic landscape. Actors spent time listening to oral histories and recordings, immersing themselves in the vernacular to avoid caricature and honor the people whose stories they were telling. The film's music choices reveal another layer of intentionality and surprise. The soundtrack blends soulful melodies with period-specific tunes, creating a soundscape that envelops the viewer in the cultural atmosphere. One unusual tidbit is that some of the songs featured were discovered through old family records, unearthed during research trips by the production team. These selections lent the film an intimate musical voice, connecting it to the lived experience of the characters rather than generic background noise. Behind the camera, the cinematographer brought a painterly eye to the project, favoring warm, nostalgic hues that bathe scenes in golden light. This choice was both aesthetic and symbolic, evoking memory and the bittersweet nature of nostalgia. One curious technique involved using natural light filtered through lace curtains or the canopy of trees, creating patterns of shadow and glow that mimic the interplay of secrecy and revelation central to the story. This visual poetry added depth to even the quietest moments, inviting the audience to linger in the textures of the characters' worlds. In one notable behind-the-scenes anecdote, the cinematographer described how a sudden rainstorm forced the crew to adapt quickly during an outdoor shoot. Rather than halting production, they embraced the storm's dramatic lighting and reflections, capturing scenes that would have felt static otherwise. This spontaneity lent the film an organic feel, reminding viewers that sometimes nature itself becomes a collaborator in storytelling. The relationships among the cast extended beyond the script, creating a familial atmosphere that enriched performances. Actors who portrayed characters with tense or conflicted connections often found themselves bonding off-set, their genuine affection lending nuance to scenes of confrontation and reconciliation. This off-screen dynamic gave the story an emotional undercurrent that pulses quietly beneath the dialogue, allowing for moments of subtle truth and vulnerability. One of the more unusual challenges involved filming scenes that took place in confined interior spaces, kitchens, bathrooms, and bedrooms. These locations were intentionally kept tight to heighten the sense of intimacy and tension. However, shooting in such cramped quarters demanded creative solutions from the crew to accommodate lighting, camera equipment, and movement without breaking the illusion. The result is a series of shots that feel both claustrophobic and tender, mirroring the characters, trapped circumstances, and moments of connection. The film's wardrobe department also faced an intriguing hurdle in balancing historical accuracy with the comfort and practicality required for the actors' demanding schedules. Many garments were hand-sewn replicas of period clothing, and the delicate fabrics had to withstand long hours under hot lights. Costume designers developed innovative techniques to maintain the authenticity of wear and tear while allowing for flexibility. This labor of love ensured that the clothing not only looked authentic, but lived with the characters, bearing the subtle marks of their daily lives. Another lesser-known fact is that several of the actresses contributed their own insights and memories to enrich their portrayals. Some shared stories passed down from family members who had lived through similar times, weaving personal history into the fabric of their performances. This collaboration between real-life experience and artistic interpretation deepened the film's emotional resonance and rooted it firmly in lived reality. The film also sparked an unexpected cultural phenomenon. Following its release, the infamous pie scene became a viral moment, inspiring everything from internet memes to parody videos. It tapped into a universal delight in the unexpected and the subversive, transforming a simple act of defiance into a shared cultural touchstone. This phenomenon extended the film's reach beyond its immediate narrative, connecting audiences through humor and the power of storytelling. Beyond laughter, the movie's impact inspired conversations about history, race, and memory in ways that few productions achieve. Educational programs incorporated its themes into discussions about social justice, while community screenings often included panels where cast and crew shared behind-the-scenes stories and reflections. The film became a catalyst for dialogue, its making as much a part of its legacy as its narrative. One of the strangest and most touching details involves the care taken to honor the real women whose stories inspired the film. The production team worked closely with the author and community members to ensure respectful representation. At the premiere, special tributes were made to these women, recognizing their bravery and the sacrifices embedded in their testimonies. These moments underscored the profound responsibility the filmmakers felt in bringing these stories to life. In a poetic twist, the same cotton fields that serve as a backdrop in the film had once been tended by ancestors of some of the actors and crew. This layering of history, where past and present converge, infused the production with a sense of continuity and reverence. It became clear to many involved that they were not merely making a movie, but participating in a living dialogue with history. Technical innovations also played a subtle role in shaping the film's texture. The production embraced both traditional and modern techniques, blending film stock choices and digital enhancements to create a look that feels timeless yet immediate. This hybrid approach allowed the film to evoke nostalgia without slipping into sentimentality, maintaining a sharpness that underscores its themes. Throughout the shoot, moments of levity helped balance the emotional intensity. Cast and crew developed rituals, shared meals, storytelling sessions, even impromptu sing-alongs, that forged community and resilience. These gatherings often echoed the film's own themes of connection and survival, a reminder that art and life often dance together in unexpected ways. In the end, the strangest facts about this film are not merely curiosities, but windows into a creative process fueled by passion, respect, and a desire to tell a story that matters. Behind the carefully framed shots and polished performances lies a mosaic of human moments, of challenges met, friendships formed, accidents that became art, and history honored through storytelling. These hidden layers enrich the film's texture, inviting viewers not only to witness a story on screen, but to feel the pulse of the world that shaped it. The film unfolds like a carefully woven tapestry, each thread representing moments charged with meaning, fraught with tension, and steeped in the complex realities of a deeply divided society. From the opening scenes, the audience is invited not merely to witness a story, but to inhabit a world where small gestures echo with outsized significance, and where every event, whether grand or intimate, resonates far beyond the frame. The narrative pulses with undercurrents of social upheaval and personal courage, crafting a cinematic experience that invites reflection on both the past and its lingering shadows in the present. One of the earliest significant events that shapes the film's trajectory is the young woman's decision to embark on a project that seeks to document the experiences of the maids who serve the white families in her town. This choice, seemingly simple at first, reverberates as a quiet act of rebellion, a refusal to accept the comfortable silences that uphold injustice. It signals a shift in perspective, not just for the protagonist but for the audience as well, challenging viewers to confront the realities hidden behind polite facades. Critically, this decision represents the film's thematic core, the power of storytelling as a tool for social change. By centering the voices of those historically marginalized, the narrative destabilizes dominant perspectives and invites empathy from an audience that might otherwise remain distant or indifferent. This event functions as a catalyst, setting in motion a chain of revelations that dismantle entrenched hierarchies and illuminate the human cost of systemic racism. The process of gathering these stories unfolds with deliberate care, capturing the tensions and risks involved. Interviews take place in shadowed kitchens and quiet back porches, spaces both intimate and charged with vulnerability. These settings are more than mere backdrops. They symbolize the liminal spaces occupied by the characters, caught between public invisibility and private truth. From a critical standpoint, the film uses these environments to underscore themes of confinement and resilience, illustrating how physical spaces reflect social constraints. As the maids begin to share their experiences, the film shifts into a rhythm that balances moments of heartache with bursts of humor and defiance. The storytelling here is nuanced, refusing to reduce its subjects to mere victims. Instead, it celebrates their complexity, their strength, wit, and agency even in the face of dehumanizing conditions. This portrayal challenges stereotypes and enriches the narrative's emotional resonance, inviting audiences to reconsider preconceived notions about race, class, and power. One cannot discuss the film's critical impact without examining the iconic chocolate pie scene, a moment that blends humor, subversion, and metaphor in a way that is both disarming and deeply symbolic. The pie, innocuous in appearance, becomes a vessel of rebellion, a delicious act of defiance that disrupts the carefully maintained order of the household. This scene operates on multiple levels. As comic relief, as a statement about resistance, and as a reminder that the most potent challenges to oppression often arise in unexpected forms. From a critical perspective, this moment is a masterstroke of narrative economy and symbolism. It encapsulates the broader themes of the film in a single gesture, highlighting the tension between surface civility and simmering rage, between appearance and reality. The scene's enduring popularity speaks to its effectiveness in communicating complex ideas through humor, making the film accessible while retaining its depth. Another pivotal event centers on the young woman's increasing alienation from her social circle as the project gains momentum. This estrangement underscores the social costs of dissent, revealing how entrenched systems police boundaries and enforce conformity. The film here engages with the theme of privilege, not as a static condition, but as a contested terrain where choices carry consequences. Her isolation is portrayed with subtlety, capturing the painful tensions between loyalty, fear, and conscience. Critically, this development adds layers to the protagonist's character arc, illustrating the personal sacrifices entailed in acts of resistance. It also invites viewers to reflect on the discomfort that often accompanies social change, the fracturing of relationships, the loss of acceptance, and the challenge of confronting one's own complicity. This portrayal avoids simplistic heroism, instead presenting courage as fraught and costly. The film's depiction of the maids lives further deepens with scenes that highlight the insidiousness of segregation beyond overt acts of racism. Moments such as the enforced use of separate bathrooms and the strict rules governing where maids may sit or eat reveal the pervasive nature of systemic oppression. These details, though seemingly mundane, accumulate to create a powerful critique of everyday racism. The film's focus on such minutiae is a deliberate choice that aligns with critical readings emphasizing the role of institutionalized practices in sustaining inequality. Thematically, these depictions challenge audiences to recognize how discrimination is embedded in social structures and daily interactions, not only in overt acts of violence or hatred. By foregrounding these subtle mechanisms, the film contributes to broader conversations about microaggressions and the lived realities of marginalized communities. The emotional resonance here is profound, as viewers are invited to feel the weight of indignities often dismissed or ignored. As the narrative progresses, tensions escalate with the publication of the manuscript containing the maids' stories. This event functions as the story's climax, a moment when private truths break into public view, shaking the foundations of the community. The reactions are varied and charged, ranging from outrage and denial to empathy and solidarity. The film captures this spectrum with nuance, resisting binary portrayals of good and evil. From a critical standpoint, the manuscript's release symbolizes the power of narrative to disrupt hegemonic discourses. It foregrounds the role of storytelling not merely as representation, but as an act of agency that can challenge and change social realities. The varied responses also reflect the complexities of social change, illustrating that progress is often contested and uneven. The fallout from the publication reveals the personal costs borne by the women who shared their stories. Job losses, strained relationships, and social ostracism underscore the dangers of speaking out. These consequences ground the narrative in harsh realities, refusing to romanticize resistance. The film's commitment to portraying these struggles with honesty enhances its emotional impact, eliciting empathy and respect from audiences. One of the most compelling critical perspectives emerges from the film's exploration of complicity and transformation through the character of a white woman initially aligned with oppressive norms. Her journey from complacency to awareness serves as a microcosm of potential social awakening. The film handles this arc with care, acknowledging both the limitations and possibilities of individual change. This character's evolution invites critical reflection on the nature of allyship and the challenges of confronting one's own privilege. It highlights the discomfort and resistance that often accompany such transformations, as well as the tentative steps toward accountability. The film neither idealizes nor condemns her, but presents a nuanced portrayal of personal growth within a flawed social context. The emotional resonance of these intertwined journeys is amplified by the film's visual and auditory language. Warm, nostalgic hues create a dreamlike quality that contrasts with the harsh realities depicted, evoking memory and the bittersweet nature of progress. The soundtrack, blending soulful melodies with period music, envelops the narrative in cultural specificity while underscoring universal themes of hope and struggle. Critically, the film's aesthetic choices contribute to its ability to engage diverse audiences, inviting both reflection and emotional connection. The balance between intimacy and broader social commentary enables the story to function on multiple levels, appealing to viewers' hearts and minds alike. Another significant aspect worthy of analysis is the film's handling of humor amid hardship. The moments of levity are never gratuitous but woven into the fabric of the narrative to underscore resilience and humanity. This tonal complexity enhances the story's realism, portraying characters who find joy and laughter even in oppression. The strategic use of humor also serves as a narrative tool to engage audiences, making difficult subjects more accessible without diminishing their gravity. The film's reception reflects its success in navigating these complex terrains. Critics and audiences alike have praised its ability to blend emotional depth with social critique, celebrating the performances that bring these multifaceted characters to life. However, the film has also sparked discussions about representation, authorship, and the dynamics of storytelling, particularly regarding who gets to tell whose stories and how power operates within narratives of resistance. These conversations enrich the film's impact, situating it within ongoing debates about race, memory, and media. They invite viewers to consider not only the story on screen, but the broader cultural and historical contexts it engages. This reflexivity is part of the film's lasting resonance, encouraging critical engagement beyond passive consumption. The film's portrayal of intergenerational dynamics adds further depth to its critical landscape. The relationships between older and younger characters reveal tensions between tradition and change, highlighting the complexities of navigating social transformation. These interactions illuminate how histories are transmitted and contested within families and communities, emphasizing the personal dimensions of collective struggles. Moreover, the film's attention to domestic spaces as sites of power and resistance offers rich material for analysis. Kitchens, bathrooms, and living rooms become arenas where societal inequalities are both enacted and challenged. The intimate scale of these settings brings the abstract concepts of racism and classism into tangible focus, grounding the narrative in lived experience. Through these carefully crafted events, the film builds an emotional arc that culminates in a powerful call to empathy and action. It challenges audiences to recognize the humanity in every story, to listen beyond their comfort zones, and to reckon with the legacies of injustice. The impact is not limited to the screen, but extends into the viewer's consciousness, inspiring reflection and dialogue. In the final scenes, the film eschews tidy resolutions, embracing instead the ambiguity and complexity of real social change. Victories are hard-won and incomplete, Losses are palpable yet accompanied by glimmers of hope. This ending reinforces the film's commitment to honesty and depth, resisting simplistic narratives in favor of a portrayal that honors the messiness of progress. Critically, this openness invites viewers to carry the story forward, to continue engaging with the themes and questions it raises. It positions the film not as a closed text but as a living conversation, a prompt for ongoing inquiry into the intersections of race, gender, class, and power. Throughout the film, significant events function as both plot points and thematic signposts. They map the contours of a society in flux and the individuals who navigate its shifting terrain. By interweaving personal stories with broader social critique, the film crafts a narrative that is both specific and universal, historical and urgent. This layered approach enhances its emotional resonance, allowing audiences to connect with characters on a human level while grappling with systemic issues. The result is a cinematic experience that lingers, challenging viewers to rethink their assumptions and engage more deeply with the world around them. Ultimately, the film's critical perspectives and events form a symphony of insight and feeling. Each scene, each revelation, contributes to a mosaic that honors the courage of those who speak truth to power and the complexity of the societies they inhabit. Through this storytelling, the film achieves its greatest impact, not only telling a story but awakening conscience and inspiring change. There is a certain kind of magic that weaves itself quietly through the making of a film like this, one that isn't captured in the final cut but lingers in the spaces between scenes, in the subtle glances on set, and in the whispered conversations among cast and crew during long, sweltering days. The story unfolding on screen is shaped not just by script and direction, but by countless moments behind the scenes, serendipitous, challenging, humorous, and sometimes downright strange, that together breathe life into the cinematic world. To uncover these production insights and fun facts is to step into a world where art and reality blend, revealing the deeply human heartbeat beneath the polished surface. From the very outset, the making of this film was infused with a palpable sense of personal connection and purpose. The director was no outsider to the story's setting. He grew up in the same town where much of the narrative unfolds. This proximity gave him an intimate understanding of the cultural textures, the cadence of the local dialect, and the social rituals that the film sought to portray. His childhood memories of Southern hospitality mingled with the harsher realities of segregation, creating a vision that sought to balance tenderness with truth. This connection to place made the production less an abstract project and more a personal journey, one that the director approached with both care and a sense of responsibility. This sense of rootedness extended to the casting process, which became a quest not only for talented actors, but for individuals who could embody the spirit and complexity of their characters authentically. The casting director and the director worked together to find actresses who could bring layers of nuance, strength, vulnerability, humor, and heartbreak to their roles. When Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer joined the project, their chemistry with Emma Stone created a dynamic that felt organic from the start, mirroring the delicate yet powerful relationships portrayed on screen. Their off-camera friendship flourished during filming, deepening the emotional resonance of their performances and fostering an atmosphere of trust and collaboration. An interesting anecdote from early rehearsals reveals how the actresses' improvisations helped shape key scenes. In one instance, a moment of shared laughter between the maids during an interview was not scripted, but born from a spontaneous exchange on set. Recognizing the authenticity and warmth it brought, the director encouraged more such moments, allowing the actors to inhabit their characters fully and bring personal touches to their portrayals. This creative freedom contributed to the film's emotional texture, grounding it in lived experience rather than rigid performance. The production design team faced the formidable task of recreating early 1960s Mississippi with painstaking attention to detail. Their work extended beyond mere aesthetics, Every object, from the pattern on a teacup to the threadbare upholstery of a sofa, was chosen to evoke a sense of place and time. The team scoured local antique shops, private collections, and archives, sometimes borrowing items directly from residents who had lived through the era. One remarkable story involves a vintage radio found in a forgotten attic, which not only added visual authenticity, but also played period music that became part of the set's ambient soundscape. Filming locations played a pivotal role in immersing both cast and audience in the story's world. The crew shot many scenes in historic homes whose walls bore witness to decades of Southern life. The sense of history permeating these spaces lent a quiet gravitas to the production. Cast members often spoke of the almost haunting feeling of performing in rooms where past generations had lived, loved, and struggled. In one house used for a key scene, unexplained cold spots and flickering lights sparked whispered conversations about lingering spirits, adding a layer of mystique to the shoot. Weather posed one of the production's most persistent challenges. Shooting in the deep South during summer meant relentless heat, humidity, and swarms of mosquitoes. These conditions tested the endurance of cast and crew alike. Makeup artists worked overtime to manage sweat and keep continuity intact, while wardrobe assistants struggled to maintain the integrity of delicate period costumes under the harsh sun. One actress recalled that during particularly grueling outdoor scenes, the cast would take breaks to dip towels in ice water, a simple relief that became a shared ritual. Despite the discomfort, the atmosphere on set remained collegial and spirited, with humor serving as a balm against the physical toll. The infamous chocolate pie scene, now iconic for its blend of humor and defiance, has a behind-the-scenes story that reveals the blend of preparation and improvisation involved. The prop team painstakingly created the pie to look both delicious and realistic, knowing it would become a focal point. The director insisted on using a real pie for authenticity, aiming to capture genuine reactions rather than staged ones. During filming, an accidental slip caused the pie to splatter unexpectedly, eliciting genuine laughter from the cast and crew. Rather than reshooting, the director embraced this moment, which added spontaneity and energy to the scene. Costume design was another arena of creative challenge and innovation. The costumes served not only as period-appropriate dress, but also as visual markers of character and social status. The pastel dresses and pearls of the white socialites contrasted sharply with the practical, sturdy uniforms of the maids, highlighting the divides the narrative explores. Designers intentionally crafted the maids' uniforms with fabrics that felt somewhat restrictive, requiring the actresses to adjust their movements and posture. This physical constraint helped the actors embody their characters' constrained roles and added a layer of realism to their performances. To achieve linguistic authenticity, the production engaged local dialect coaches who worked closely with the actors to perfect regional accents and speech patterns. This attention to vocal detail extended beyond dialogue to encompass laughter, sighs, and pauses, subtle elements that give dialogue its natural rhythm. Some actors spent time listening to oral histories and recordings from the era, immersing themselves in the vernacular to avoid caricature and honor the lived experience of their characters. The film's soundtrack also boasts intriguing origins. Rather than opting for a generic period score, the music supervisor and director curated songs that were unearthed during research trips to the South. Some tracks were found on rare family records, lending the soundtrack a deeply personal and culturally resonant voice. These choices create an auditory landscape that immerses viewers in the time and place, reinforcing the film's emotional tone and thematic concerns. The cinematography contributes significantly to the film's evocative power. The director of photography favored natural light and warm, nostalgic hues to evoke memory and the bittersweet nature of the narrative. An innovative technique involved filtering sunlight through lace curtains or tree canopies, creating patterns of light and shadow that metaphorically reflect the film's themes of secrecy and revelation. One memorable moment came when an unexpected rainstorm interrupted an outdoor shoot, but instead of postponing, the crew embraced the dramatic lighting and reflections, capturing scenes imbued with spontaneity and atmospheric depth. Behind the scenes, the cast and crew developed rituals that fostered community and resilience. Shared meals, impromptu storytelling sessions, and even sing-alongs provided relief from the intensity of filming and built camaraderie. These moments of connection echoed the film's themes of solidarity and survival, blurring the line between art and life in meaningful ways. Filming in confined interior spaces posed unique challenges. Scenes set in kitchens, bathrooms, and bedrooms were intentionally shot in tight quarters to heighten intimacy and tension. Managing lighting, camera angles, and movement in such restricted spaces demanded creative problem-solving. The resulting shots convey a sense of claustrophobia and emotional closeness, mirroring the characters, constrained realities, and moments of connection. Several actresses brought personal family histories into their portrayals, enriching their characters with lived experience. They shared stories passed down through generations, weaving real-life memories into their performances. This collaboration between history and art deepened the film's emotional resonance and grounded it in authenticity. The film sparked an unexpected cultural phenomenon centered on the chocolate pie scene. Beyond eliciting laughter, it became a viral moment, inspiring memes, parodies, and cultural references. This widespread engagement extended the film's reach, connecting audiences through humor and underscoring the power of storytelling to transcend specific narratives and speak to universal themes of resistance. The production team also took great care to honor the real women whose stories inspired the film. They consulted closely with the author and members of the community to ensure respectful representation. At the premiere, tributes recognized these women's bravery and sacrifices, underscoring the filmmaker's sense of responsibility. This commitment to authenticity and respect permeated the entire process. A poetic layer emerges in the fact that some of the cotton fields featured in the film were once tended by ancestors of cast and crew members. This convergence of past and present added a profound sense of continuity and reverence. Many involved felt they were participating in a living dialogue with history, not merely recreating it. Technical innovations subtly shaped the film's texture. The production blended traditional film stock with modern digital techniques to achieve a look that felt both timeless and immediate. This hybrid approach avoided sentimentality while maintaining sharpness and clarity, reinforcing the film's thematic balance between nostalgia and critical engagement. Despite the emotional weight of the story, moments of levity abounded on set. The cast and crew developed rituals to sustain morale, from shared meals to light-hearted pranks. These human moments sustained the creative energy and forged bonds that translated into on-screen chemistry. One amusing behind-the-scenes story involves a prop mishap when a serving tray was accidentally dropped during a pivotal scene. The unexpected clatter startled actors and crew, leading to genuine laughter that was ultimately woven into the performance, adding a touch of spontaneity and realism. The dedication of the makeup and hair departments was crucial in maintaining continuity and period accuracy, especially given the grueling conditions. Makeup artists crafted subtle aging effects and skin tones that reflected the characters' experiences, while hairstylists recreated styles emblematic of the era. Their artistry contributed significantly to the immersive quality of the film. The film's editors worked meticulously to balance pacing and tone, weaving together moments of tension, humor, and tenderness. Their work ensured that the narrative unfolded with emotional rhythm, allowing viewers to absorb its complexities without being overwhelmed. In the final analysis, the strangest and most fascinating facts about the film's production are not mere curiosities but vital elements that shaped its soul. They reveal a collaborative, respectful, and deeply human process, one where challenges became opportunities, mistakes sparked creativity, and personal histories enriched storytelling. These behind-the-scenes stories invite audiences to appreciate not only the finished film, but the journey that brought it to life, reminding us that every cinematic masterpiece is born of countless small, imperfect, and beautiful moments shared by many hands and hearts. The film unfolds within a world soaked in sunlight and shadow, where every corner of its setting breathes history, memory, and tension. The places it inhabits are not mere backdrops but living, pulsing entities that shape the story's very soul. From the faded grandeur of sprawling southern homes to the intimate kitchens where whispered truths take root, the settings become characters themselves, each one layered with meaning, carrying the weight of past and present struggles. The story is deeply rooted in Jackson, Mississippi, during the early 1960s, a time and place brimming with contradictions. The town wears its history like a finely embroidered shawl, beautiful, intricate, but heavy with the unseen threads of injustice and division. The camera lingers on the sun-dappled streets lined with white picket fences, the manicured lawns and towering magnolias that sway in the sultry breeze. These scenes evoke a sense of slow, genteel life on the surface, but beneath that surface lies a taut undercurrent of social hierarchy and suppressed conflict. One of the most striking aspects of the film's setting is how it captures this duality, the delicate beauty of the South entwined with its entrenched inequalities. The exterior shots of stately homes with their elegant porches and carefully tended gardens speak to a tradition of pride and preservation. But the film never lets this charm lull the viewer into complacency. Instead, it uses the setting to underscore the fragile nature of this world, one held together by rigid codes and exclusionary practices. The houses themselves are meticulously chosen, each one telling its own story. Interiors are bathed in warm, nostalgic hues, the glow of late afternoon light filtering through lace curtains, the soft sheen of polished wood floors, the subtle dust motes dancing in shafts of sunlight. These spaces feel lived in yet frozen in time, suspended between memory and reality. The rooms hum with the presence of generations, their walls absorbing whispered conversations and hidden sorrows. Kitchens play a particularly vital role in the film's geography, serving as both sanctuary and stage for the characters' lives. These small, often cramped spaces are where the women who care for the households share moments of laughter, grief, and rebellion. The cameras focus on countertops crowded with pots and pans, the rhythmic chopping of vegetables, and the steam rising from simmering pots conveys a sense of intimacy and labor. These scenes ground the narrative in the tactile world of daily life, emphasizing the physicality and endurance that underpin the characters' experiences. Bathrooms, too, emerge as charged settings, sites of segregation and resistance. The stark contrast between the gleaming fixtures reserved for white families and the utilitarian facilities designated for the maids is laid bare with a visual clarity that speaks volumes. One bathroom scene becomes a powerful metaphor, the camera lingering on the division of space, the symbolism of locked doors and flushed handles, and the quiet dignity of those who navigate these imposed boundaries. In doing so, the film highlights how systemic racism permeates even the most private corners of life. Beyond the domestic interiors, the film's use of outdoor settings enriches its atmosphere. Cotton fields stretch wide and sunlit, their endless rows a reminder of the region's fraught agricultural history. The camera captures these fields with a painterly eye, golden stalks swaying gently, the sky vast and blue above, evoking both the beauty and burden of the landscape. These expanses serve as silent witnesses to the stories unfolding within the town, grounding personal struggles within a broader historical context. The cinematography employs light and shadow with remarkable precision to deepen the film's emotional tone. The director of photography favors natural light, often filtering sunlight through leaves or window panes to create patterns that ripple across faces and walls. This technique evokes a sense of intimacy and realism, while also symbolizing the interplay of revelation and concealment that defines the narrative. Moments of brightness often coincide with emotional breakthroughs, while shadows underscore tension, uncertainty, or loss. Color plays a subtle but powerful role in shaping the film's mood. The palette leans toward warm, muted tones, soft creams, faded pastels, and earthy browns that evoke nostalgia without glossing over complexity. This choice creates a visual softness that contrasts with the harsh realities the story confronts, inviting viewers into a world that is both inviting and fraught. Splashes of brighter color, such as the vivid hues of a character's dress or the green of hydrangea bushes, punctuate scenes with emotional intensity or thematic resonance. Camera movement is deliberate and thoughtful, enhancing the storytelling without calling undue attention to itself. Slow pans and steady tracking shots allow the viewer to absorb details, creating a contemplative rhythm that mirrors the unfolding revelations. At times, the camera draws close to characters' faces, capturing fleeting expressions that convey unspoken thoughts or hidden pain. These intimate close-ups invite empathy, making the viewer a silent confidant. The framing of scenes often emphasizes spatial relationships that reinforce themes of division and connection. Characters are frequently positioned on opposite sides of doorways or windows, separated by walls or furniture that symbolize social barriers. Conversely, moments of solidarity and intimacy are framed with tight compositions that bring characters physically close, underscoring bonds forged through shared experience. Sound design complements the visual landscape with a subtle layering of ambient noises, the hum of cicadas, the rustle of leaves, the distant clatter of dishes, that immerse the viewer in the setting. These sounds ground the story in a sensory reality, enriching the atmosphere and heightening emotional resonance. The occasional swell of music underscores pivotal moments, blending period-specific tunes with soulful melodies that echo the characters' inner lives. One of the film's masterstrokes is how setting and cinematography work together to evoke the passage of time and the weight of history. The use of lingering shots on objects, an old typewriter, a faded photograph, a cracked teacup, serves as visual poetry, inviting contemplation of memory and legacy. These details accumulate, creating a texture of lived experience that envelops the narrative and invites reflection. The opening scenes establish a tone of restrained tension, with wide shots of the town's streets and homes that feel both idyllic and charged. As the story progresses, the camera moves closer, entering interiors where private dramas unfold. This shift from external to internal mirrors the narrative's movement from surface appearances to hidden truths, drawing viewers deeper into the characters' worlds. In quieter moments, the film uses stillness and silence as powerful tools. Scenes of characters alone in rooms bathed in soft light invite viewers to dwell on their inner turmoil and longing. The absence of dialogue in these sequences speaks volumes, allowing the visual and auditory atmosphere to carry emotional weight. The choice to shoot many scenes on location in actual historic homes adds an authenticity that permeates the film. The subtle creaks of floorboards, the play of natural light through period windows, and the texture of aged wallpaper create a tactile realism that studio sets often lack. This groundedness enhances the viewer's immersion, making the social dynamics and personal stories feel immediate and real. The juxtaposition of public and private spaces is a recurring motif in the film's spatial storytelling. Public areas, churches, schools, social clubs, are depicted as arenas of performance and surveillance, where social codes are enforced and reputations maintained. Private spaces, bedrooms, kitchens, bathrooms, become sites of vulnerability, intimacy, and resistance. This spatial dichotomy reflects the characters, navigation of visibility and concealment within a segregated society. Lighting design further accentuates this interplay. Public scenes often employ brighter, more uniform lighting, suggesting exposure and scrutiny, while private moments are enveloped in softer, more diffused light, evoking secrecy and sanctuary. The careful modulation of light shapes the viewer's emotional response, guiding attention and emphasizing thematic contrasts. The film's use of reflections, mirrors, windows, polished surfaces, adds a visual metaphor for identity and perception. Characters are frequently shown glimpsed through glass or in fragmented reflections, suggesting the fractured nature of selfhood shaped by societal constraints. These images invite contemplation of how individuals see themselves and are seen by others within a divided world. Texture is another key visual element. The roughness of weathered wood, the softness of lace curtains, the smoothness of porcelain fixtures, all contribute to a sensory richness that grounds the narrative. The tactile quality of these surfaces evokes memory and emotion, connecting viewers to the character's physical environment in a visceral way. The film's color grading shifts subtly over its course, reflecting emotional and narrative arcs. Early scenes glow with warm, golden tones that evoke nostalgia and the semblance of harmony. As tensions rise and revelations unfold, the palette cools and darkens, infusing the story with a growing sense of urgency and unease. This visual evolution mirrors the characters' journeys, underscoring the film's thematic depth. Costume design intersects with setting to further convey social divisions and character development. The carefully curated wardrobes signal status, personality, and transformation. Pastel dresses and pearls worn by the town's social elite contrast with the practical, muted uniforms of the maids. The physicality of these garments, how they move, constrain, or liberate, enhances the storytelling, making clothing a visual language of power and resistance. The framing of group scenes reveals social hierarchies and relational dynamics. Characters are positioned to reflect status and alliances, with the white socialites often seated or standing prominently, while maids are shown at the periphery or in submissive postures. Moments when these spatial norms are disrupted carry significant narrative weight, symbolizing shifts in power and solidarity. Soundtracks and score work in tandem with visuals to deepen mood and atmosphere. Period music anchors the story historically, while soulful compositions evoke emotional undercurrents. The interplay of diegetic and non-diegetic sound creates layers of meaning, enhancing scenes with cultural texture and psychological depth. Through all these cinematic elements, the setting, cinematography, lighting, color, costume, and sound, the film crafts an immersive, textured world that invites viewers to see beyond surface beauty to the complex realities beneath. The South it portrays is at once enchanting and fraught, a place of memory and possibility shadowed by injustice. Ultimately, the film's setting and cinematic language do more than situate the story. They deepen its emotional resonance and sharpen its thematic impact. They invite viewers to inhabit the characters' worlds fully, to feel the weight of history and the flicker of hope. The spaces and images linger in the mind, echoing long after the final scene fades, reminding us that where a story takes place is inseparable from how it is told, and from what it means. The world behind the camera often holds as much drama, warmth, and unexpected magic as the story unfolding on-screen. In the making of this film, the set became a bustling microcosm of creativity and camaraderie, where laughter mingled with long hours and the weight of difficult subject matter. Behind-the-scenes moments, both surprising and tender, wove themselves into the fabric of the production, shaping not only the film's atmosphere but also the performances and relationships that brought the story to life. To journey through these insights is to glimpse the human heart beating at the core of cinematic creation, a pulse made of collaboration, resilience, and moments of pure joy. From the very first day of shooting, there was a palpable sense of shared purpose among cast and crew. The story's themes were heavy, rooted in history and hardship, but the atmosphere on set was often lightened by genuine friendships and playful banter. The director fostered a sense of family, encouraging an environment where actors could experiment, share ideas, and support one another. This nurturing space allowed performances to flourish with authenticity and nuance, creating bonds that extended beyond the demands of the script. One of the first surprising stories comes from early rehearsals, when the actresses who played the maids, Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer, quickly developed a rapport that would anchor the film's emotional core. Their chemistry was electric, born of mutual respect, and a shared commitment to honoring the women whose stories inspired their characters. Off-camera, they shared stories, jokes, and moments of vulnerability, creating a safe space where laughter and tears coexisted. This genuine connection translated into scenes charged with tenderness and strength, giving the narrative its beating heart. Emma Stone, playing the young white woman caught between worlds, found herself warmly embraced by her co-stars, despite the differences in experience and background. She has often spoken about how this support helped her navigate the emotional terrain of her role and grow in confidence. On set, the three women could be found in quiet corners exchanging thoughts on character motivations or sharing light-hearted moments between takes. Their friendship was more than professional. It was a grounding force in an intense and sometimes emotionally taxing process. Humor became a crucial ingredient in managing the emotional weight of the story. The infamous chocolate pie scene, for instance, was a source of much behind-the-scenes laughter. The prop department created multiple pies, anticipating the challenges of multiple takes. At one point, an accident sent a pie flying, splattering unexpectedly and eliciting genuine, infectious laughter from the cast and crew. Rather than disrupting the shoot, this moment of levity became part of the scene's charm, reminding everyone that spontaneity often fuels cinematic magic. Beyond the core cast, the wider crew formed a tightly knit team bonded by long hours and shared challenges. Filming in the southern heat tested everyone's endurance. Makeup artists had to battle sweat and humidity, reapplying makeup multiple times to maintain continuity. Wardrobe assistants carefully tended to delicate period costumes, ensuring that the pastel dresses and crisp uniforms remained pristine despite the punishing conditions. Crew members developed routines to cope. Cold towels, iced drinks, and scheduled breaks became rituals that sustained morale. The production design team faced the monumental task of recreating the 1960s setting with authenticity and care. They sourced antiques and period-appropriate furnishings, sometimes borrowing items from local residents who felt a personal connection to the story. One memorable anecdote recounts a vintage radio that was discovered in a forgotten attic and incorporated into a set piece, adding a layer of historical texture. The team's dedication created environments that felt lived in and real, providing the actors with tangible spaces to inhabit and grounding the film in palpable reality. Shooting in historic homes added both atmosphere and challenges. Some locations carried a sense of their own history. Creaking floors, aged wallpaper, and uneven lighting demanded technical ingenuity. In one house, crew members reported flickering lights and unexplained chills, sparking whispered conversations about lingering spirits. Whether coincidence or something more mysterious, these experiences enriched the set's ambience, lending a subtle, eerie layer to the production. Scenes shot in confined interiors, kitchens, bathrooms, and bedrooms, required creative solutions to balance intimacy with technical needs. Camera operators and lighting technicians choreographed their movements with precision, often working in tight spaces without disturbing the actors' performances. These efforts resulted in shots that feel both claustrophobic and tender, mirroring the characters, constrained lives, and fleeting moments of connection. Local dialect coaches worked closely with actors to perfect the nuances of the Southern accent and speech patterns. This training went beyond dialogue, encompassing laughter, size, and rhythm of speech to ensure authenticity without caricature. Some actors immersed themselves in oral histories and recordings from the era, deepening their understanding and enriching their portrayals with subtle inflections drawn from real-life voices. Music also played a subtle but vital role behind the scenes. The soundtrack was carefully curated, blending period songs with soulful melodies uncovered through research trips to Southern archives. Cast and crew often listened to these tunes during breaks, creating a shared soundtrack that connected them to the culture and history they were depicting. This shared musical thread contributed to the sense of immersion and emotional continuity on set. Despite the film's serious themes, the set was often a place of joy and humor. The cast developed rituals, shared meals, storytelling sessions, and occasional sing-alongs that forged a community resilient against the emotional toll. These moments of lightness were essential, allowing the ensemble to recharge and maintain the emotional openness required by their roles. One amusing behind-the-scenes incident involved a prop mishap during a key dinner scene. A serving tray was accidentally dropped, producing a loud clatter that startled everyone. Laughter erupted, breaking tension and reminding all that imperfection often enriches the creative process. The director chose to keep the shot, appreciating the spontaneity it brought to the scene's realism. The makeup and hair departments worked tirelessly to maintain period accuracy while ensuring actors' comfort. They developed subtle aging effects and skin textures to reflect the characters' experiences, applying these with a gentle touch that allowed natural performances to shine through. This artistry played a crucial role in immersing viewers in the era and deepening the characters' humanity. Filming schedules were tightly packed, and weather conditions often demanded flexibility. Sudden rainstorms halted outdoor shoots, requiring quick adaptation and creative problem-solving. In one memorable instance, a surprise downpour transformed a planned sunny scene into a moody, atmospheric shot that the director chose to keep, adding emotional depth and visual interest. The editors faced the challenge of balancing pacing and tone across scenes that ranged from tender intimacy to social confrontation. Their meticulous work ensured that the narrative flowed with emotional rhythm, allowing viewers to absorb the story's complexities without feeling overwhelmed. Through careful trimming and sequencing, they preserved the story's heart while maintaining tension and engagement. Cast members often contributed ideas that shaped their characters and scenes. Viola Davis, known for her thoughtful approach, collaborated closely with the director to explore her character's emotional landscape, sometimes suggesting adjustments that enriched scenes with deeper nuance. Octavia Spencer brought humor and warmth that balanced the story's heavier moments, while Emma Stone's willingness to embrace vulnerability added layers to her role's evolution. The production's commitment to honoring the real women behind the story was evident throughout. The author's involvement provided a bridge between past and present, guiding the filmmakers in respecting lived experiences. Special screenings and community events fostered dialogue and remembrance, connecting the film's creation to ongoing conversations about history and justice. In reflecting on the challenges faced, the team often cited the emotional toll of inhabiting difficult stories day after day. The director encouraged openness and support, recognizing that portraying pain and resilience required safe spaces off camera as much as on. This culture of care helped sustain the cast and crew through moments of exhaustion and emotional intensity. In the end, the behind-the-scenes world of this film is a testament to the power of collaboration, empathy, and shared vision. The interplay of humor and hardship, meticulous craftsmanship, and spontaneous moments created an environment where art and humanity coalesced. These stories from the set illuminate the invisible threads that bind a film together, reminding us that every frame on screen is the product of countless small, beautiful moments lived in community. The story unfolds in layers, each one delicate yet profound, a weaving of themes and symbols that resonate far beyond the immediate narrative. From the moment the first scenes unfurl, the film invites us to look deeper, to listen beyond spoken words and recognize the quiet forces shaping lives and histories. Themes ripple beneath the surface, interlacing with characters' journeys, and symbols emerge like signposts, guiding viewers through complex terrain of power, identity, and resistance. To dwell with these elements is to uncover the story's heart, revealing how meaning lives in both the seen and the unseen. At its core, the film is a meditation on voice and silence, on who is permitted to speak and who is forced to listen in hushed tones. The young woman's decision to write about the lives of the maids is itself an act of reclamation, challenging the erasure of those who have been rendered invisible by history and social structures. Her project is a beacon, illuminating voices stifled by fear and convention. This theme resonates not only in the plot's arc, but also in the characters' struggles to assert identity and humanity within a world determined to silence them. The contrast between voice and silence is poignantly embodied in the maids themselves. Their stories, whispered in kitchens and recounted in secret interviews, illustrate how silence can serve both as protection and oppression. For these women, silence has been a survival strategy, a shield against retaliation in a society that punishes dissent. Yet, as the narrative unfolds, silence is pierced by courage, transforming into a powerful tool of resistance. This shift from suppression to expression forms a thematic backbone that animates the film's emotional and social commentary. Closely entwined with voice is the theme of power, its distribution, exercise, and contestation. The film meticulously maps the hierarchies that structure the town's social fabric, revealing how power operates not only through overt domination, but also through subtle rituals and spatial arrangements. Who sits where at a luncheon, who enters through which door, who is permitted to speak, and when. These details accumulate to depict a system designed to maintain inequality under the guise of civility. Symbolism underscores these power dynamics with visual and narrative clarity. The recurring motif of doors and thresholds, back entrances, locked bathrooms, screen doors, serves as a potent metaphor for inclusion and exclusion. Doors become barriers that separate not only spaces but also human dignity, reminding viewers how physical architecture enforces social division. The screen door's gentle click, a sound repeated throughout the film, becomes a symbol of boundaries both literal and figurative. Water imagery also weaves through the narrative, rich with layered meaning. The insistence on separate water fountains, the ritual of cleaning, and the symbolic cleansing in bathrooms speak to purification and segregation. Water, normally a source of life and renewal, here becomes a tool of division and control. Yet moments of bathing and washing also suggest vulnerability and transformation, hinting at the possibility of renewal beneath oppressive systems. The theme of motherhood is deeply embedded in the story's emotional core. The relationships between caretakers and children transcend biological ties, creating bonds marked by tenderness, protection, and the transmission of values. These maternal figures nurture hope and resilience in young lives, planting seeds of self-worth in a world that often denies it. Through these portrayals, the film explores motherhood as both a personal and political act, one that carries the weight of history and the promise of change. Closely linked to motherhood is the theme of legacy, what is inherited and what is passed forward. The story acknowledges that the past is never truly past. It lives in traditions, attitudes, and stories told or withheld. Characters grapple with the legacies they carry, some choosing to uphold old orders, others seeking to rewrite narratives. This tension between preservation and transformation infuses the plot and character arcs with urgency and complexity. Friendship and solidarity emerge as vital themes, highlighting the power of human connection to transcend division. The alliances formed between women across racial and social lines become acts of rebellion in themselves, defying the isolation imposed by segregation. These relationships are portrayed with nuance, marked by moments of joy, conflict, and mutual support, illustrating that solidarity is a dynamic, ongoing process rather than a fixed state. The symbolism of food recurs as a metaphor for care, community, and resistance. Meals shared in kitchens and dining rooms carry emotional and political weight, nourishing bodies and spirits alike. The infamous chocolate pie scene crystallizes this symbolism, a dessert transformed into a weapon of defiance, sweet on the surface but loaded with subversive intent. Food thus becomes a language of power, hospitality, and rebellion, layered with cultural significance. Clothing and uniforms serve as visual symbols of identity and constraint. The pristine pastel dresses and pearls of the white socialites contrast starkly with the functional, muted uniforms of the maids. These garments mark social status and prescribe behavior, yet the film reveals moments where fabric becomes a site of resistance, through choice, alteration, or the assertion of dignity within imposed roles. The physicality of these costumes shapes how characters move and are perceived, reinforcing themes of visibility and invisibility. Light and shadow operate as potent cinematic symbols. Scenes bathed in warm, golden light evoke memory, nostalgia, and fleeting hope, while shadows suggest secrecy, fear, and the unknown. The interplay of illumination and darkness mirrors the characters' journeys from hidden truths toward revelation, creating a visual metaphor for the film's exploration of honesty and concealment. The motif of writing itself, journals, manuscripts, typed pages, carries symbolic weight. Writing is portrayed as a transformative act, a means of reclaiming narrative authority and shaping history. The young woman's manuscript becomes a vessel of truth and change, its pages charged with risk and possibility. This theme elevates storytelling from mere plot device to a philosophical meditation on the power of language and memory. The film's structure, alternating between public and private spaces, moments of laughter and sorrow, conflict and solidarity, reflects the thematic tension between appearance and reality. Social rituals and polite facades mask deep inequalities and personal struggles, and the narrative invites viewers to look beneath surfaces to grasp the full complexity of human experience. Race and class intersect as central themes, depicted with sensitivity and depth. The film exposes the ways in which these identities are constructed and enforced through social norms, laws, and everyday practices. It challenges viewers to consider how privilege and oppression operate in tandem, shaping opportunities and relationships. This intersectionality enriches the story's critique and broadens its relevance. The emotional resonance of these themes is embodied in the characters' arcs. Their struggles to assert voice, dignity, and agency unfold within a web of social constraints and personal hopes. Each character's journey illuminates different facets of the film's thematic concerns, from the young woman's awakening to the maid's resilience, from the socialites' complicity to moments of personal reckoning. Their interconnected stories create a mosaic that reflects the complexity of social change. Symbolic objects, such as the locked bathroom door, the typewriter, and the pie anchor abstract themes in tangible reality, making the invisible visible. These symbols invite viewers to engage actively with the narrative, decoding layers of meaning, and connecting them to broader social questions. The film's conclusion reinforces its thematic richness, resisting simplistic resolution in favor of ambiguity and hope. It acknowledges that change is neither linear nor easy, marked by loss as well as progress. This openness invites reflection and dialogue, encouraging viewers to carry the themes beyond the screen into their own lives and communities. In sum, the film's themes and symbolism create a profound tapestry that elevates the story from historical drama to universal meditation. They challenge us to listen to silenced voices, confront inherited legacies, and recognize the transformative power of empathy and storytelling. Through its rich imagery and layered narrative, the film becomes more than entertainment. It becomes an invitation to see, feel, and act with greater awareness and compassion. The making of a film is a dance, a choreography of light, sound, movement, and emotion that together conjure a world both believable and resonant. In this film, the filmmakers embraced a collection of carefully chosen techniques, each one serving the delicate balance between nostalgia and critique, intimacy and social commentary. These choices did more than tell a story. They shaped the atmosphere, evoked feeling, and invited viewers into the characters' inner lives with a subtle yet powerful touch. Behind every frame lies a thoughtful orchestration of cinematic tools, camera work, editing, sound design, that breathes life into the narrative's layered textures. One of the defining filmmaking approaches here is the use of naturalistic cinematography, a style that grounds the film in realism while wrapping it in a warm, nostalgic glow. The director of photography favored natural light, often filming during the golden hours when sunlight filters gently through trees or spills soft rays through lace curtains. This choice envelops scenes in a hazy, dreamlike quality, evoking memories' blur and the bittersweet allure of the past. Rather than harsh artificial lighting, this gentle illumination invites viewers to linger in moments of quiet reflection, creating an atmosphere simultaneously intimate and evocative. The camera movement plays a crucial role in shaping the film's rhythm and emotional tone. Slow, deliberate pans and tracking shots guide the viewer's gaze, encouraging contemplation rather than distraction. These measured motions mirror the narrative's gradual unfolding, allowing the tension to build beneath surface calm. When the story turns inward, the camera often draws close to characters' faces, capturing subtle expressions that reveal unspoken thoughts and layered feelings. These close-ups become windows into inner worlds, forging empathy and connection. Conversely, wider shots establish the social and spatial context, framing characters within their environments to emphasize themes of isolation, hierarchy, and confinement. For example, scenes shot on sprawling porches or manicured lawns contrast with the tight, enclosed spaces of kitchens and bathrooms, visually underscoring the social divisions that permeate the story. The framing often places characters at edges or separated by doorways and windows, reinforcing barriers both physical and symbolic. Color grading further enhances the film's tone, employing a palette of warm, muted hues that evoke nostalgia without romanticizing the past. Soft creams, faded pastels, and earth tones dominate, creating a visual harmony that soothes even as the narrative confronts painful truths. These color choices subtly remind viewers that the beauty of memory often coexists with complexity and discomfort. Occasionally, bursts of brighter color, a vibrant dress, blooming hydrangeas, punctuate scenes, highlighting moments of emotional intensity or symbolic significance. Editing shapes the film's pacing and narrative flow with careful precision. The editors balance scenes of quiet intimacy with moments of social tension, creating a rhythm that draws viewers into the characters' experiences without overwhelming them. Transitions between scenes often employ dissolves and fades, reinforcing the film's dreamlike quality and the passage of time. The editing also allows silence and stillness to breathe, giving space for reflection and emotional resonance. Sound design plays a subtle yet vital role in immersing audiences. The film's soundscape weaves together ambient noises, the hum of cicadas, the rustling of leaves, the clatter of dishes, with period-specific music that anchors the story historically. This layering creates a sensory environment rich in texture, drawing viewers into the physical and cultural atmosphere. The use of diegetic sounds, those originating from the story world, enhances realism, while the musical score adds emotional depth and thematic nuance. Dialogue is captured with clarity and naturalism, avoiding theatricality in favor of conversational rhythms that reflect authentic speech patterns. The sound mix balances spoken words with background ambience, ensuring that moments of silence or whispered conversation carry weight and meaning. The interplay of sound and silence becomes a storytelling device, emphasizing what is said and what remains unspoken. One notable filmmaking technique is the strategic use of framing and composition to reflect character dynamics and thematic concerns. Scenes often position characters in ways that suggest power relations, dominant figures occupying central or elevated positions, others relegated to corners or peripheries. This visual language communicates social hierarchies without explicit exposition, inviting viewers to read beneath dialogue and plot. The film's mise-en-scene, the arrangement of visual elements within the frame, is rich with symbolic detail. Props, costumes, and set design collaborate to tell stories of status, identity, and resistance. A typewriter clicking away in a dim room, the sparkle of a pearl necklace, the worn edges of a kitchen apron. All these elements contribute layers of meaning, making the environment a living part of the narrative. The filmmaker's meticulous attention to these details enhances authenticity and invites close observation. Lighting design complements the naturalistic approach with intentional contrasts. Soft, diffused lighting predominates in scenes of intimacy and reflection, while sharper, more directional lighting underscores moments of confrontation or revelation. The interplay of light and shadow becomes a metaphor for the dualities explored in the story: visibility and invisibility, truth and deception, comfort and fear. Camera angles are employed thoughtfully to evoke psychological states. Low angles occasionally empower characters, lending them strength and presence, while high angles can suggest vulnerability or surveillance. Point-of-view shots immerse viewers in a character's perspective, heightening emotional engagement. These choices weave seamlessly into the narrative fabric, deepening the storytelling without distracting from it. The film's use of slow-motion sequences and lingering shots heightens emotional impact, allowing significant moments to resonate fully. These techniques draw attention to small gestures, a glance, a touch, a sigh, that might otherwise pass unnoticed but carry profound meaning. The deliberate slowing of time invites viewers to inhabit the character's interiority, making their experiences palpable. In sound editing, moments of amplified natural sound punctuate key scenes, emphasizing sensory experience and drawing viewers closer. The clinking of ice in a glass, the rustle of fabric, the creak of a rocking chair become intimate details that ground the narrative in lived reality. These sonic textures enrich the atmosphere and deepen emotional connection. The score, composed with sensitivity to the film's historical and cultural context, blends soulful melodies with subtle orchestration. Music swells at moments of triumph, softens in scenes of vulnerability, and underscores tension without overpowering dialogue. The soundtrack's integration into the narrative enhances mood and aids storytelling, making music a character in its own right. From a production standpoint, the film's technical choices served not only artistic aims, but also practical ones. Filming on location in historic homes required careful coordination to manage natural lighting, sound challenges, and limited space. The cinematographer's preference for available light demanded flexible camera setups and precise timing to capture scenes during optimal light conditions. This interplay of artistry and logistics shaped the film's look and feel. Editing decisions balanced narrative clarity with emotional nuance. The team worked to ensure that pacing supported character development and thematic exploration. Scenes were trimmed or extended based on their emotional resonance, with an eye toward maintaining audience engagement while allowing room for contemplation. The film's reception at the box office reflected the success of these techniques in creating a compelling, accessible, and emotionally rich experience. Audiences responded to the story's warmth and honesty, as well as its visual beauty and atmospheric depth. The filmmaker's blend of realism and nostalgia resonated widely, inviting both personal reflection and social dialogue. In sum, the filmmaking techniques employed, camera work, lighting, editing, sound design, and score, coalesce into a harmonious whole that shapes the film's atmosphere and storytelling power. These elements create an immersive world where history and humanity intertwine, where subtle gestures carry weight, and where the viewer is invited to see, hear, and feel with profound intimacy. The artistry behind the lens becomes a bridge, connecting audiences to the heart of the story and the lives it seeks to honor. The world behind the film's luminous performances is a rich tapestry of personalities, experiences, and reflections, an intertwining of artistry and humanity that deepens our understanding and appreciation of the story. The cast, each bringing their own unique voice and insight, became more than actors playing roles. They became vessels through which history, emotion, and complexity flowed. Their interviews, candid and revealing, offer windows into their creative processes, personal connections to the material, and the emotional journeys undertaken. Meanwhile, audiences, moved and stirred, have shared their reactions and interpretations, weaving a larger conversation that extends beyond the screen into the realm of lived experience. From the outset, casting choices proved pivotal in shaping the film's resonance. The three leading actresses, each a powerhouse in her own right, carried not only the narrative but the emotional weight of a story that demands vulnerability and courage. Viola Davis, who portrayed the dignified and resilient caretaker, brought a profound depth honed through years of theater and film. In interviews, she spoke about the responsibility she felt representing women whose lives had often been marginalized or distorted. Her connection to the character was rooted in empathy and a desire to honor those who endured hardship with grace. Davis described the role as transformative, challenging her to embody layers of strength and sorrow without allowing either to dominate. She recounted moments on set when the emotional intensity became overwhelming, requiring both personal fortitude and the support of cast and crew. Her reflections reveal the intersection of craft and compassion that animates her performance, a melding of artistry and activism. Octavia Spencer, who played the quick-witted and spirited friend, infused the film with humor and fire. In conversations, she highlighted how the character's resilience was expressed not only through endurance but through laughter and defiance. Spencer spoke of the joy she found in portraying a woman who refuses invisibility, someone whose voice pierces silence with sharp wit and unwavering courage. Her off-screen rapport with Davis and Stone, forged through shared dedication, translated into on-screen chemistry that felt genuine and electric. Spencer also shared stories from the set about how moments of levity helped balance the story's weight, fostering a creative environment where emotional truths could emerge safely. Her insights underscore the importance of community and support in bringing challenging stories to life. Emma Stone, portraying the young woman caught between worlds, offered a perspective of discovery and growth. She spoke candidly about her initial unfamiliarity with the story's historical context and the profound impact it had on her understanding of race, privilege, and responsibility. Stone described her character's journey as one of awakening, mirrored in her own evolving awareness during filming. Her interviews reveal a process of learning and listening, both on set and off, as she absorbed the lived experiences of her co-stars and the community represented. Stone emphasized the humility required to tell a story not her own, and the importance of collaboration and respect in embodying complex realities. Her reflections highlight the film's broader themes of empathy and social consciousness. Supporting cast members also brought invaluable perspectives. Allison Janney, portraying the social matron, spoke about the challenge of embodying a character entrenched in privilege, yet layered with vulnerability. Jani's reflections reveal the nuances of playing someone who represents systemic oppression without caricature, emphasizing the humanity beneath social roles. Her portrayal adds depth to the film's exploration of complicity and transformation. The cast's collective commitment to authenticity extended beyond acting. Many immerse themselves in the historical context, engaging with oral histories, literature, and personal stories from the era. These efforts enriched performances with subtle detail and emotional truth. Interviews reveal moments when actors drew from their own family histories, blending personal memory with character creation. Behind the scenes, the cast's interactions forged a supportive and collaborative atmosphere. Interviews describe a set marked by mutual respect and camaraderie, where challenging scenes were met with encouragement and humor. This environment nurtured vulnerability, allowing performances to reach emotional heights. The trio of lead actresses often spoke about how their friendship off-camera informed their portrayals of solidarity and complexity on-screen. Audience responses to the film have been wide-ranging, reflecting its emotional and thematic richness. Many viewers expressed deep appreciation for the film's honest and nuanced portrayal of a painful chapter in history. Reviews often highlight the powerful performances, praising the actresses' ability to convey both strength and fragility. Viewers describe being moved to tears, laughter, and reflection, noting how the film balances heavy themes with moments of joy and humanity. Some audience members recount how the film sparked conversations within families and communities, encouraging dialogues about race, history, and empathy. These responses underscore the film's impact as a catalyst for awareness and connection. Viewers from diverse backgrounds have shared stories of how the film resonated with their own experiences or inspired new perspectives. Critical responses echo these sentiments, often praising the film's blend of social commentary and heartfelt storytelling. Reviewers highlight the cinematography's warm tones, the screenplay's balance of humor and drama, and the director's sensitive approach. At the same time, some critiques point to ongoing debates about narrative framing and representation, reflecting broader conversations about storytelling and power. Screenings and community events have extended the film's reach, bringing cast members into dialogue with audiences. These occasions fostered exchange and reflection, enriching the film's cultural footprint. Interviews from such events reveal actors' thoughtful engagement with audience questions and the emotional resonance of live interaction. The film's legacy, in part, is shaped by these shared conversations, a testament to storytelling's power to bridge divides and inspire empathy. The cast's openness about their creative journeys invites viewers to see beyond performance to the human connections underpinning the art. In sum, the interplay of cast insight, creative process, and audience reception forms a dynamic tapestry that deepens understanding and appreciation. The film lives not only in its images and words, but in the voices and hearts of those who made it and those who carry its message forward. Through interviews and reviews, the story continues, unfolding in personal reflection and collective memory, an enduring dialogue between art and life. The journey we've taken together through the world of this film is one woven with light and shadow, laughter and tears, resilience and reckoning. From the opening scenes, sun-drenched porches, and whispered secrets to the final moments where courage flickers like a candle against the dark, every element has invited us to look deeper, not just at a story unfolding on screen, but at the larger tapestry of history, identity, and human connection. We have explored the intricate layers of plot, delving into the struggles and triumphs of characters caught in a society poised on the cusp of change. We witnessed their voices rise, shatter silence, and forge bonds across boundaries once thought unbreakable. We uncovered the richness of themes that pulse beneath the narrative's surface, the power of storytelling to reclaim history, the complex interplay of silence and speech, the multifaceted nature of power, and the enduring strength found in solidarity. These themes do not live in isolation. They intertwine with the characters' journeys, reflecting the messiness and beauty of real life. Through the careful use of symbolism, the locked doors, the chocolate pie, the filtered light, the film invites us to engage not just with what is shown but with what is suggested, the unsaid and the unseen. Our exploration of filmmaking techniques revealed how camera work, lighting, editing, and sound coalesce to create a world that feels both immediate and timeless. The naturalistic cinematography wrapped in warm hues invites intimacy, while deliberate framing and pacing guide our emotional engagement. Sound design and musical choices deepen atmosphere, enveloping us in the cultural and emotional landscape. Together, these elements craft a sensory experience that transcends mere viewing, drawing us into the very heartbeat of the story. Behind the scenes, the cast's dedication and collaboration brought authenticity and depth to every frame. Their insights and reflections remind us that acting is more than performance. It is empathy made visible. The camaraderie and support among cast and crew shaped not only the film, but the experience of making it, infusing the story with humanity and heart. Audiences responded in kind, their reviews and conversations extending the film's impact, fostering dialogue that resonates far beyond the screen. The setting, so carefully chosen and lovingly recreated, became more than backdrop. It emerged as a character itself, embodying the contradictions of a time and place where beauty and brutality coexist. Whether the stately homes, the intimate kitchens, or the vast cotton fields, each space invited reflection on history's imprint on lives and landscapes. Cinematic choices like the play of light and shadow, color palettes, and spatial composition enriched this world, making it vivid and textured. Throughout this journey, the film has challenged us to confront uncomfortable truths and recognize the courage it takes to speak and listen authentically. It has reminded us that progress is neither simple nor swift, but forged in the small acts of defiance, solidarity, and storytelling. The narratives we encounter compel us to carry these conversations forward, to acknowledge history's long silenced, and to honor the resilience that persists. If this exploration has stirred your curiosity, moved your heart, or sparked new questions, I invite you to join me for more journeys like this. By subscribing, you become part of a community that seeks not just to watch, but to understand, to dive beneath the surface of cinema and emerge with richer insights into the stories that shape us. Together, we'll explore films that challenge, inspire, and illuminate the human experience, uncovering the layers that transform entertainment into reflection and empathy. Your engagement, whether through watching, commenting, or sharing, fuels this ongoing dialogue. It shapes the direction of future explorations and deepens our collective appreciation of film as an art form and a mirror. So if you value thoughtful analysis, emotional depth, and the kind of storytelling that lingers long after the credits roll, I warmly encourage you to subscribe and come along on these cinematic adventures. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for opening your mind and heart to this story. May the themes and images we've explored continue to resonate with you, inviting reflection and action in the world beyond the screen. Until next time, let's keep watching, questioning, and connecting, one story at a time.